Welcome in, everyone, to episode 4 of the Tom's Takes podcast. Well, this Major League Baseball franchise originally started in an outdoor stadium in the cold state of Minnesota, and they shared that stadium with the Vikings. They then decided to move indoors into the Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis. But as multi-purpose stadiums got phased out in favor of football and baseball specific venues, the Twins, who we're talking about today, decided to move into a baseball-specific venue of their own. And there was some drama if they would even stay in Minneapolis for much longer if they didn't get that baseball-specific ballpark. So joining me now to talk about all that and all the Target Field experience is this guy right here, Andrew Birkeland, a Minnesota native. Andrew, how are you?
I'm good, Tom. Thanks for having me, and really appreciate you bringing me on. It's fun to talk about Target Field. Obviously, don't live in Minnesota anymore, but still have been able to catch a couple Twins games the last couple of years, and Target Field is definitely an upgrade over the Metrodome.
Yes. You obviously are much too young to remember Metropolitan Stadium. That was, I think, 1961 when the franchise first came to Minnesota to 1981. They moved to the Metrodome in 1982, but you've been to the Metrodome a few times. Talk about your memories at the Dome.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm glad you brought up Metropolitan Field. So, like, Metropolitan's the field, my dad would go to games there. So, and it's actually kind of funny. It's hard to find footage of Twins games from Metropolitan Field. I think one of the more famous ones is like the 1965 World Series. But Metropolitan obviously was kind of built for the Vikings and just some of its nuances. So, I appreciate you bringing that up. Like, I think that's sometimes forgotten about, like that old ballpark that kind of was before the Metrodome. But yeah, the Metrodome was interesting. Wasn't a baseball park because the way it was aligned, the seats were for football.
Yes.
And all the seats were blue.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the roof, the concourses were kind of jammed. And I think one of the things as we saw in your video, is how open Target Field is. That wasn't the case at the Metrodome. You couldn't go to the concourses and see what was going on, stuff like that. So obviously Target Field's an upgrade, but the thing the Metrodome did have is it got loud.
Yes.
So when you were there for a big event, if you watch back the 87 World Series, the 91 World Series, game 163 in 2009, like when the Metrodome was packed and filled to the brim, like it was one of the most loud stadiums, not only just in baseball, I think in all of sports, and really even for Vikings games and stuff. So no, I mean, it was time. Obviously the Metrodome was maybe from a different era, but it was funny. I was trying to think back have I gone to more games at Target Field or the Metrodome. So I couldn't remember the specific numbers. It was probably like a 50-50 split of which I've been to of more. But and I can't really even remember really my first Twins game at the Metrodome. But but they would also do Gopher football games there before I built TCF. So I went to a Gopher football game there. I went to one Vikings preseason game there. So it's I think Target Field is definitely an upgrade, but Metrodome had its place. It had its moment. So
Yep. Yeah, I can remember going to the Metrodome one time when I was 9 years old, family trip in 2006. We went to a Twins and Tigers game, and yeah, that was as you said, it was loud. Like whenever the Twins got a big hit, the place exploded because the roof, of course, being an indoor stadium, it traps the sound waves, and naturally that makes the place much louder. But that roof had a collapsing problem.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned I think 2009 was really out, or I can't remember when it was, but there was obviously the famous one where the Vikings had to move a game to Detroit, just because of how much snow came onto it. So definitely a problem for sure, and definitely not a problem you want to have. I think it's funny because we had the Tropicana Field in Tampa Bay destroyed by a hurricane, and that's understandable. 150-mile-an-hour winds, but just the weight of the snow to collapse, it's just a different problem. And obviously the way the roof was built and everything, like, definitely led to a structural flaw that eventually kind of felt like, okay, this stadium's no longer fit for purpose. The other thing actually funny about the Metrodome is it's where the Minnesota State High School League would do prep football, boys and girls soccer. So I actually went to more like state soccer growing up.
Really?
Yeah. So they would, they would set up the soccer field on there, and then it was funny because there'd be about 500 or 1,000 people in the Metrodome, and obviously it was still largely unfilled, but it still got loud in there with even a couple hundred people in there. So it was actually kind of fun going to those for state soccer and stuff, just because of how unique it was to kind of watch a soccer game inside the Metrodome.
Neat. Now, you were pretty young when this all went down, but in 2001, the Twins almost got contracted. Do you remember that at all?
Not really. I was 6 years old. I do know when Target Field was kind of in the works, there was discussion of they need a new ballpark, the threat of it, contraction or being moved. I think you mentioned to Greensboro or other places. So I think it's definitely a bargaining. It was something I think as I got older, kind of learn about the history and kind of understand, okay, this is what was at risk possibly with the Twins moving. So as you get older, you maybe kind of hear about that. I think it's interesting, Seattle had the same thing happen with the Key Arena. Eventually it's OKC. So you see all these owners trying to leverage the new arena of like, hey, we need a new arena for a new baseball field. And if we don't get it, we're going to take our franchise somewhere else.
Yes. Yep, that's a classic tactic used by owners.
Yeah.
Give us what we want or we're out.
Yeah.
But moving on to the vlog episode, how'd you like it?
I liked it. I think you, unfortunately, you had to leave the first game, but I think you did a really good job, just highlighting, just what Target Field is about. I do have to say, your Matt's Burgers, great choice for a burger. I think the one place next time you go, you should try out is the Nook.
Okay.
It's in St. Paul. It's actually across from Cretin-Durham Hall, which is where Joe Mauer went to high school.
Really?
And they have a spot on the restaurant where Joe Mauer hit a home run.
Wow.
Joe Mauer hit a home run in high school. I hit the building. They put a little spot on it. So Matt's, V8, and the Nook are kind of like the three good burger places. I will say I still have a place for Dinkers in Omaha. I think it's a little better. So
yeah, but
great choice on Matt's. And the thing that was also funny is you went to the Mall of America.
Yeah,
I haven't been to the Mall of America since I was like in 9th grade.
Really?
So it's one of those things. Being from Minnesota, it's maybe not as big of a attraction or as big of a I need to go do this because you kind of have it in your backyard. But it's funny when you hear people like build a trip around going to the Mall of America or going to Nickelodeon. When I was growing up, it was Camp Snoopy. But it was just funny you kind of going there, and it's like there's people that build trips around this. And for us, it was like it's cool, but it's not something that I felt like I had to go to every single day. Obviously, since I haven't been there since 2011. So
yep. Now let's get into the nitty gritty. We're gonna rate everything from location all the way to the mascot for the Twins.
Yeah.
Let's begin with location. How do you like the location for Target Field?
So I think it's really well placed. So it's on the west edge of downtown. So it's not located like in a suburb. And I think that's one of the things about the Twin Cities. You realize how big it is. Minneapolis, St. Paul, all the way down to this. You probably don't know where you see it, but like Lakeville to Blaine is, that would be an hour drive. So like, it's not just Minneapolis, St. Paul, and putting the ballpark downtown where they did is, it's, obviously capturing the skyline, but it's really kind of centralized for people in both metros around the state can come in, go to a game. So I really like it. I live actually in the first west suburb of Minneapolis, or at least my parents still do. I grew up there. And you can see the ballpark coming in from the west on both sides. It doesn't kind of stand out like some other places or some other maybe arenas. Like if you switch where US Bank is in Target Field, it would be obviously much more kind of noticeable. But from a location standpoint, it's really good. And I think it takes advantage of downtown Minneapolis's parking, the accessibility, which we'll talk about later. But I think it's a really good location. I know when they were thinking about the Vikings team, they're like, do we want to put this 20 minutes north? And I just think it's hard when you have to balance between location and accessibility then for an entire metropolitan. I think they did a really good job balancing that.
Yeah, I give it a 10 out of 10 on the location. It's in a fantastic location. As you mentioned, a lot of parking nearby. There's a good amount of activity around the
Mm-hmm.
ballpark,
Mm-hmm.
shops, bars, restaurants. I mean, it's a bustling scene
Yes.
for every single game day.
Yeah, I think I won't maybe go 10, but I'll give you a 9. I'll
Okay.
give it a 9. I think the only thing, if you were going to make it just a little better, is you. I don't even. I think there could be just a little bit more around it. It does feel kind of constrained. I think we'll get to that when we talk about like the outside atmosphere.
Yes, that's what we're talking about next. Yeah, the outside atmosphere. I would give that. I want to say 6 out of 10. I mean, there are some restaurants nearby,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a hotel or two. I didn't see a ton, much else, and so yeah, I think the Twins could do a little bit better in that regard. What say you?
So I think the outside part, it's tough because you're building it into a skyway, and Target Center is like right across, and there's the Minneapolis
Yes.
skyway system that kind of funnels everything. You can take the skyway from one end of downtown to the other without going outside, obviously in the winters, which is clutch. But I think yes, there's some bars and some places around. I don't think it's as big as maybe as some of other ballparks. I'm trying to think back to like Coors Field or Camden Yards, like seeing some videos of kind of how they built their ballpark. Um, I think it's like, or actually a good example, St. Louis. They
Yeah.
have like the ballpark village,
Yes,
and I think
or the Battery in Atlanta.
yes, and I think I wouldn't say it's not like Kauffman Stadium where
No.
it's just in a giant concrete parking lot,
Nothing
really
around it.
But I think there isn't really anything that's like right up at the stadium. Um, but I would say if you're gonna filter down kind of the place that does exemplify kind of a good outdoor atmosphere, it's that gate that you walked in right field,
Mhm.
where you got that open area, kind of just that kind of like just a patio lounge area. I think that's the main gate everyone really kind of goes to, because all the other gates, it's right off a train station or off a bus stop. Like, isn't really kind of a sprawling concourse to kind of invite people in outside of that right field area.
Mhm.
So I think there's some area for improvement. I think if you focus just on kind of that first baseline, that right field gate, I'd give it an 8, 9. But I think just the way that they built the stadium, and yes, the location's great, but at a down cost of
Mhm.
doesn't really have the ability to expand or even build kind of a larger ballpark village like
Yeah,
other places.
it's like it's one of the smaller major league parks in terms of square footage. It's like 9 acres.
Yeah, I mean it's funny. You'll drive by and like you can get right up to kind of you'll talk about like the limestone facing. Like it's not like it's really detouring or moving kind of traffic in a sense. Like there's an interstate that goes kind of almost right underneath it to get closer to downtown. It's like it's not like they kind of built up roads and moved a ton of existing infrastructure to build it. And yeah, now that you kind of say it, it is a small footprint of a ballpark.
Mhm. Moving on to parking and accessibility. This one, superb, as good as it gets. I would give it an 11 out of 10 because the parking, it's a plenty. Yeah, you can park. There's like a lot of good lots nearby. I think the first game we went to this garage that we had pretty easy access to. There's also the streetcar, which we took all the way from our hotel in Mall of America all the way down to Target. There's also, I think it's called like the North Star Line, that commuter train, which people from like the exurbs of the Twin Cities, yeah, they ride into Target. So there's so many ways that you can get there. What say you?
Yeah, so they've got the 3 ramps, ramp A, B, C. It's where a lot of people park downtown, but it's also great for sporting events. Like ramp A, you just take that skyway, you're just spit out right in that right field gate.
Yes.
So it's like just super easy, convenient. But I think the light rail, as you mentioned, just how that can take people from the Mall of America, just kind of all various places, and just bring them there. It's a really good use of public transportation for people that don't want to drive or deal with the traffic leaving. And then just the skyway accessibility. So I would agree. Like they've done a really good job of using what they have to kind of, okay, we don't have a ton of parking, but what are other ways we can bring people in? So I completely agree. Like it's a really accessible ballpark.
Yes.
From all areas of the metro. Like you have multiple ways to get to the stadium. and and I don't think it, the metro. I haven't taken the light rail or the buses in forever, but it's still very affordable. It's not like,
Yeah.
it's not like you're breaking the bank to
No, you're not.
take a 15-20 minute ride. So
Yep. I think my round trip ticket on the light rail, it was only like $2 or $3. Yeah, it's nothing.
it's really nice.
Yep. Yep. Moving on to the exterior, I would give this an 8 out of 10. I love the Minnesota made limestone that they put on the exterior. It really does feel like you're going into a major league park. I mean, I guess they could make it like a little brighter. There are some other major league parks that have that big like major league feel, I guess. I mean, Target does a good job with that, but I just think it's one-upped by a couple more. Like I would say Atlanta does a slightly better job of it, and so does Wrigley Field. Yeah. What say you?
I really do like the limestone. Is definitely one, I think, the most unique aspects of Target Field, and they incorporate even on the interior of the stadium too, which is cool. I think I think the thing that's interesting about Target Field is it doesn't have the big expansive light fixtures. Kind of those lights are built in to kind of the awning or the roof of the upper deck. So you don't, outside of left field or the giant mini Impala, you don't really have something that really like juts out from like a triple decker like light fixture or something like that. I think the thing though it is cool is how it opens up in right field and you get to see that downtown. And so when I lived in Minnesota and worked downtown, there were times you could look into Target Field and see a game going on, depending on where you were at. So I think that's pretty cool. I think the one thing that is interesting is the main scoreboard left field does say Target Field on the left or on the back of it. And so, but it's kind of funny is where that's placed and kind of how traffic flows, and you don't really see it. So it's kind of, it's Target Field if you're a Twins fan. But it's kind of like you don't have like a moniker or something that like, oh, that's Target Field. I know it's a little small thing, but it's just kind of interesting, just the geography and stuff, and kind of like some places maybe would want that advertised, or some franchises would want that of like, oh, you're driving in on the interstate and it sees Target Field. So like, but I would say I think the limestone part is definitely just really unique.
Yep.
And I think your 8 rate, I think it's a 9 too, just because of how unique it is. I think the other thing you have to remember is just that limestone has to survive a Minnesota winter.
Yeah.
And like all the snow and stuff. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I've never really thought about limestone, restoration and stuff. It'll be interesting, like if they've planned of like, okay, how long do we need to upkeep this? I don't know. This is outside my field, but it'd be interesting.
Yep. Moving on to the interior, I would say this is fantastic. 10 out of 10 on the interior. Like you walk in, you feel like you're at a major league ballpark. A little more so than on the outside, because Target Field is, as you mentioned, it's when you're walking, like when you're looking for it, it's sort of difficult to find. But when you walk in, like you're there. Like I am at a Twins game right now. Not to mention when you're sitting on the third base side, you can see that nice view of downtown Minneapolis, the CN Tower. Is that what it's called? The really tall building, like with the half circle?
No, that's the half circle. I can't remember what that one's called. There's IDS.
Okay.
Towers, the bluer one. Both of them are blue. I can't remember what the one with the like little kind of top is, but the IDS one is kind of like the mainstay one.
Okay.
Downtown. Then there's also the Wells Fargo Center, which I don't think you can see from the ballpark because it's behind the IDS. But those are kind of like the 3 main skyscrapers. But it is kind of just cool how it just opens up there.
I mentioned CN Tower. I think that's Toronto.
I think so.
But yeah, it's really nice. And then like later at night, you can see the Target Center, of course, the Wolves and Lynx Arena. And I really like how they've got a bullseye. The Target dog just wagging his tail with the lights. That's really funny.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool, like just the way the sun sets. Too. Like you'll get kind of some nice views. But going back to your point of the interior, like Target Field is just really it's an open ballpark.
Yes.
And I think your vlog did a really good job showcasing that of walking around the concourses. You can see everything, upper deck, lower deck. Like, it's just really inviting. I think the one thing about the interior that's cool is this is going to sound weird, but the consistent seat and theme. So you have the limestone kind of in areas, kind of continuing that theme of the exterior we talked about. But then all those seats are kind of like that green or with that kind of baseball bat, like wood, kind of seat backs in some areas.
Yep.
Like, it's just a really nice, consistent kind of Minnesota. Like, oh, this is a forest. This is our trees. Like, it's green. Like, it's consistent though throughout the ballpark. It doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel like they've put together just a random assortment of colors like they would do in the 80s, like at some ballparks. I think then the other thing about the interior that's kind of interesting is in the outfield, the only really field level seating is that little left field porch. And so center field obviously has the batter's eye and that overhang. Same with right field. So it's like, when you think of some other major league ballparks from a target field standpoint, there isn't really a big area where you're kind of like right on the field in the outfield. So I think that's kind of interesting of just how teams or franchises kind of think about, okay, how close are fans to the action in the outfield. Like, I think of a place like Arizona, how they kind of have it go kind of into the right and left field alleys a little bit, and then you have that giant stop. Or Kauffman Field doesn't have a ton as well, but then there's Yankee Stadium. It's like all of right field, most of left field, basically in their little bandbox. Or it's just one of those things you kind of it's interesting to think about of like, how do we get people in the outfield, or what do you want to put there? The other thing that's interesting about target field, you mentioned the batter's eye. I think, and I might be wrong, when they first opened the ballpark, if you look back in like the 2010, they used to have trees. So
they still have that, or no? They got rid of that.
They got rid of the trees. I don't think the batters liked it, so they had trees for 1 year, and then they took them out because players complained it wasn't as effective as the batter. I might be wrong, but I think when it first opened, they put trees in that center field, and now it's kind of just an open grass, small field. But,
Okay.
But no, I agree. The interior of target field is just spectacular. It's just, I think the biggest thing we can say about it is it's open.
Yes.
It's inviting. Like, you can walk around that lower concourse and see the game from anywhere.
Yes.
And I think that's a really great feature.
You just brought us into our next topic, which is the concourse, and I 100% agree. 10 out of 10 on the concourse. I mean, it's nice, it's clean, it's wide open. You can see the game from just about anywhere. And I'm talking not just the main concourse, I'm talking the upper concourse too. It's very nice and big. It's not very hard to get around. People can walk freely. It's not like you mentioned the Metrodome and how the concourses were pretty jam-packed.
Yeah, the concourses were really jam-packed. It was when it was halftime of a Vikings game. I know it's not Twins game, but just in those peak areas, it was just hard to maneuver around. And there wasn't like kind of like in right field, how it just kind of opens up. Like, it's kind of like,
there's that whole lawn area.
Yeah, like a release point almost from like a traffic flow standpoint. At the Metrodome, everything was just contained. Like, there wasn't an area like that. I think the thing that's cool, so it's just so much more open. If we talked about the thing that's interesting is in foul territory from the left field pole to right field pole, it's all continuous. But then when you get to the outfield, left field's that left field kind of stanchion that goes up 3 levels. That's a separate kind of, like, you can't walk from that into the main kind of concourse area. You have to go back down. Right field, you have those kind of going up in that. So I like how you kind of have to interact with all parts of the ballpark to get to kind of every part of it. Like, you can't just stay, like, if you want to go from home plate to the left field bleachers, it's like, you can just go up to the 3rd level just across. It's like, no, you're gonna walk through kind of the main area, then go. And I don't know, maybe a little nerdy, but it's just kind of like it's forcing you to kind of experience the ballpark versus segregate yourself to this one area.
Mm-hmm. Very well said. Let's go to food and drinks. This is where we get really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I had multiple foods at the ballpark and a couple drinks as well. The Twins Peeled beer,
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't anything extremely special about it, but it did the job.
Mm-hmm.
I would give that an 8.5 out of 10. It's a fine beer.
Mm-hmm.
It's again, it's not the greatest beer I've ever had, but it's fine. I recommend it. There's also the 10,000 Lakes cocktail, which I believe was new last season.
Okay.
Yeah. Similar rating there. I would say 8.5 out of 10. I mean, I didn't love it enough to just chug it,
Mm-hmm.
but it did the job.
Yeah. I don't think I've done like the beers or the cocktails at a Twins game. So the area I like to go to is that center field
Mhm.
place. They've got that bar area, and the place that I like for the food is that Red Cow Burger. So that's a restaurant in Twin Cities. They have a couple of locations. They have the one at the ballpark, and that's kind of like my go-to. I don't know I don't think it was in your vlog, and I can't remember if they still have them, but they have ice cream helmets.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I remember from either the Metrodome or when I was going to Twins games growing up is they gave you a little hand-sized Twins helmet.
Yep.
And that's where they put the ice cream in. And I remember having those, and that's just kind of like the nostalgia for me. So
Mm-hmm.
I do know they do a pretty good job though of like keeping the food updated. It's not like always the same thing. They do a good job rotating it. I know when the state fair comes around, they kind of get a little creative with adding in a couple new options and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish I could talk more about like kind of the beers and stuff. But I don't really have a good frame of reference to those. But I think I'm sure you picked a great beer. I think the one you mentioned was a St. Paul brewery. I can't remember the name of it exactly, but yeah, but I think they do a good job of just having a wide variety. Obviously, there's a classic, hot dogs,
Mm-hmm.
Cracker Jack.
Yep.
I always remember they would have people going up and down Metrodome throwing Cracker Jacks to
Yep.
people. So they've got those staples that you need, and then if you want to venture out and try some more creative things, they have that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's also the Kramarchuk's sausages. Yeah, those were very good. I'll give that a 9 out of 10. That was a very good brat that they served me.
Are you a brat or a hot dog? Like
I can do either.
Either. Okay. I'm probably more leaning towards a brat at not only just a Twins game, any baseball game. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's personal preference.
Yep. There's that. I had the walleye burger. It wasn't that good. I would say
Walleye and fish are not meant to be on hamburger patties.
no.
That's my thought.
No. I would say, I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't one of my favorite foods. I would say 4.5 out of 10 on that. And plus, it was really messy. I mean, the walleye, like the actual fish, it fell out of my burger.
Well, and walleye is such a flaky fish. You can't put that on a burger. I mean,
No.
that's malpractice, in my opinion. Like, yeah, I get we gotta be creative, but you can't put fish on a burger. It's not meant to be on a burger.
No.
Sandwich. I mean, even a sandwich, it's like I don't know. Like, it's not the fish I would put on a burger too. Like,
No.
it's too flaky. It's gonna fall apart.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it was pretty messy. But then there's for dessert we had the s'mores boozy ice cream. This is if I can remember correctly, this was the ice cream that had the chocolate syrup that had a little alcohol in it.
Oh, okay.
They call that that's why they call it the boozy ice cream.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but that was fantastic. 10 out of 10.
Okay, I'll have to keep that in mind next time I go, just to keep that on the radar.
Yep. Yeah, I think I got that like near the lawn area, that concession stand where you also get the walleye burger and the 10,000 Lakes cocktail. That's where you also get the s'mores boozy ice cream. So yeah, a lot of the Minnesota made stuff is in that area.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So that's food and drinks. Let's go to how does Target Field and the Twins, how do they honor their team history? I think they do a very good job of it. I would say 8 out of 10. They do a very good job of highlighting a lot of the statues that are outside the ballpark.
Yep.
You have the 5 statues, which represent the 5 gates when you go into Target Field, they are all named after numbers of the retired players, and we can name them off. I can't name the numbers exactly, but I can name the players. Tony Oliva.
29? He's either 29 or 6.
I think he's 6.
6, because 29 is Rod Carew.
Rod Carew.
3 is Harmon Killebrew.
Yep.
34, Kirby Puckett. 29, Ken Herbeck.
Yes.
And then I think that's it.
Yeah, that's all the players.
Yep.
But there's also the manager that won them the 1987 and 1991 World Series trophies, Tom Kelly. There's the statue, even a statue of the mascot, TC.
TC loves his, TC loves his twins. So it's kind of cool. It's, we'll talk about TC, but I'm glad they kind of had the mascot. And then you mentioned the glove too in right field, that porch area. And I didn't realize this.
520 feet from home plate.
Is that the Killebrew distance?
Yes.
Then? Okay. Because I remember you mentioned on the podcast. So when you go to Mall of America, they have the home plate from the Metropolitan
and the red seat.
The red seat. So, but I didn't know that glove was 520 feet.
Yeah.
So, that was a really cool fact. I didn't realize that. Though.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because that glove is meant to represent all the players that have won the Golden Glove for the Twins. Mm-hmm. But Harmon Killebrew never won a Golden Glove.
I don't think he was more known for his bat, I think.
He was
the one that did win a ton that played in that era with him was Jim Cott, the pitcher. So Harmon could have asked for one of his. I think it would have been okay.
Yep. There's Tom Kelly. There's also, this is a little controversial, but even the former owners of the Twins, who the family still owns it. They're trying to sell the team right now as we're recording this in July of 2025. But the Pohlad family, their dad, Carl, he bought the team in 1984, and he owned them until his death in 2009. But he and his wife, Eloise, they are immortalized in front of Target Field as well. And I said controversial because there was a time where, especially in the early 2000s, when he was not popular. Like, he was about to get the team killed.
Yeah. Anytime an owner tries to do kind of we're going to move the franchise, I don't think, especially one like the Twins that's been rooted in this Twin Cities for so long and had, within 10, 15 years of when that's happened, had a World Series. Obviously, I don't think an owner's going to be the most popular. The Twins are interesting. I don't follow kind of their ownership. I know that the way they run their franchise is a little different. I think in this era of, they haven't really invested in the payroll as much as some of the other teams in the AL. So I don't know too much about the ownership. I just know, obviously owners are not going to be the most popular, and they threaten to move the team. So,
no.
But you're talking about kind of team history. The one thing I like about Target Field, they keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the retired numbers in left field. They're just small little baseballs.
Yes.
It's not kind of like in your face. And then all the pennants, those flags in left field.
Yeah.
That's where they highlight the, division championships, World Series, ALCS. I just like how they keep it really simple. Now, maybe it's because we don't have as much success as some of the other franchises.
Like the Yankees.
Yankees or Braves and stuff. But I just like how they keep it just really simple. It's not, I don't know. I think it's just a small little touch, but the other thing is the Minnie and Paul in center field and how that that lights up. I think that's really one of the coolest features of the park. Of that, kind of, I don't know if it's like a scoreboard feature. It's not a scoreboard feature, but it is a scoreboard feature, if you know what I mean. But recognizing and highlighting kind of the team's history of the Minnie and Paul, coming together. You talked about in the podcast of how it kind of was used to kind of bring the state together under one roof. And I think it's been cool how the Twins have kind of leaned into that history, even with their uniforms lately.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a huge fan of the state uniforms they wore. I can't remember what they're called.
The City Connects?
City Connects.
The blue with the MN on the chest.
I just don't like that M. It reminds me too much of the Marlins. I do know what they're trying to get to with the blue and the powder, or the blue and the yellow. I like the ones they wore when they played the Blue Jays, of just the kind of cream with the black, Twins or I think it's just Twins. That kind of calls back to the old 60s uniforms they would wear. I wish they would wear the baby blues. from the 1970s more. I
Mhm.
think those are great uniforms. They don't pull them out a ton. They were red in the 90s
Really?
for a little bit.
Okay.
Not as their main, but it was like an alternate. And those I don't think those have ever come out of storage. But I do like how the Twins have. I think they do a good job, and I do like how they're kind of leaning into the history a little bit more. Just kind of the uniforms. I don't know. Maybe your thoughts. I wish baseball teams kind of just kept it simple with the uniforms. You know, it's like white. Not many teams wear gray anymore. Now I should think about it. Like, but it's like white, one main color, one alternate color. Like, just keep it simple. But they got so money, so I can understand why they want to go and play around with all the different uniforms and stuff.
Yep. Yep. Another thing that the Twins do is when they honor their history is that they there's this bar. I think it's on the first base side. It's actually upstairs. I think it's Truly on Deck is the name of the bar.
I think I've maybe been there. Maybe.
And that's where the World Series trophies are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the 1987, the 1991 World Series trophies. The only thing I wish about that, I'm glad it's on display for everyone to see. I just wish they would put it somewhere in like the lower concourse where it'd be a little more easily accessible. That way, everyone can see it. Everyone can get their picture with it. Everyone can say, yeah, hey, Minnesota has won championships before. Yeah, it's been over 30 years since a Minnesota team, Vikings, Twins.
Why'd you have to rub it in? Why'd you have to rub it in? So, the one thing about Target Field, and this isn't a gripe, but the I don't know if you've ever been there, but the Gopher Stadium, TCF, or now Huntington Bank, whatever it's called now, the cool thing that they did, and I wish the Twins had found a way to, and maybe they haven't, I'm just not aware of it. If you look around Huntington Bank, their football field, they have all the names of the counties
Really?
engraved in stone around the outside. And I think that's just kind of a cool touch of
That is.
just kind of the whole state. Not that I don't think it's cool that, not that Target Field needs to go do that to please me, but it's just one of those things that one of the stadiums that was built around that time, same time frame. That's just a unique feature. I think that kind of illustrates, just the state of Minnesota. But I just want to call that out because that's one of the things I've always remembered about the Gopher Stadium.
Yep. Moving on to scoreboard. It's big. It's beautiful. It's fully digitized. I would say 10 out of 10. There really isn't much to complain about it.
Yeah, because they've got the large one in left.
Yes.
And then there's a smaller one in right field.
Yes.
So really, kind of wherever you are, you can see. That's one of my gripes about the College World Series. Actually, is there's certain parts if you sit, it's hard to see the main scoreboard, and they don't have enough information on the banners, kind of like the foul territory, like that hang over the overside. So like, I'm trying to remember other ballparks. Like Coors Field has the giant one in the left field.
Yeah, like the mountain-shaped scoreboard.
Yeah. But it's cool because on the foul territory, kind of along the concourse and the upper, like the banner almost, you can get just as much information about the game as looking at the scoreboard, which is always cool. We mentioned the Minnie and Paul thing too. It's kind of, that's not the scoreboard, but it's just kind of another feature. So it's kind of cool because each section of the outfield kind of has something to identify, or like unique, or something to highlight. So no, I mean, the way with scoreboards, like, okay, can I look at this scoreboard and learn something about the game, but I don't need it to like follow the game.
No.
So
it has all the necessary information. It even shoots off fireworks every time the Twins hit a homer, anytime they win. Yeah, it's a really nice scoreboard. It's fantastic. Moving on to the cost. Does it cost an arm and a leg to go to a Twins game or to get food, or would you rate the cost?
I think I Googled it actually before while doing the research. So Target Field for an average family of 4 is like $160. So that includes the ticket, parking, food. So I think that's $40 per person. Pretty fair. Looking at the ticket prices that they had coming up, you can get in. And I think that's the key is Target Field's a stadium. You don't need to get a prime seat to have a good experience. You can just get in the door and you can just walk around and not saying you steal someone's seat, but like you can just watch from the lower deck or the lower concourse. You can go in right field. You could go sit in center field. Like I don't think you need to break an arm or leg to go get a premier seat and have a good experience. You can just get in the door. And I looked, it's like $20, $25. Paul Skeens pitched yesterday. I think tickets were a little more expensive for that. The Dodgers are coming in July, and it's up to like 80 or 70, $80 to get in. That's not. I mean, obviously there's teams that are going to bring in a bigger market, but if you're just getting like kind of the $20 just to get in, I think that's a pretty fair, just from a ticket price. Now, obviously, you start adding on the beer, the food,
Yes.
like that is, I think the beer king probably is where a lot of people can kind of get their tabs a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing to call out though is if they're playing the Brewers or Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
that's when ticket pricing can go up because a lot of people from Wisconsin will come across the border and go to that game when Toronto plays. I mean, it sounds like a Toronto home game sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, they'll bring it. People from Winnipeg come down and stuff, and so it's funny. Those are the two teams that it's not like when the Guardians or the White Sox come to division rivals. It gets tickets are tougher. It's obviously some of the bigger franchises, but it's like Milwaukee and Toronto, which geographically from Milwaukee makes sense, but they're in opposite leagues.
Yes.
But then Toronto, you would never really kind of think like, yes, Canada borders are north, the north, but you wouldn't think it would draw so many people, but it does.
I guess the Blue Jays are like a really big phenomenon, not just in Toronto, but in all of Canada.
All of it's kind of like how they've adopted, the Raptors.
Yes.
It's Canada's team. Now, then hockey, you've got 6 different franchises.
7 actually.
7, and they all fight of like, oh, we're the best. Like, well, you guys should try winning a Stanley Cup once in a while.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's funny. It's like Toronto games and Milwaukee games. You go one of those, and it feels like a neutral. Like it's not a true Twins home game. It's a neutral environment.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not neutral, but you can feel the opposing team fan presence.
Mm-hmm. Going back to cost, yeah, I would agree. I think it's you do get a good deal for your money at Target Field. If I can remember correctly, the ticket I got, which was in the lower bowl, it costs, I want to say, $91.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they were playing a division rival. They were playing Cleveland.
Well, I'm trying to remember. So you went in August of last year.
Yes.
So this is when they were still probably looking like they were going to make the playoffs, and then they just fell apart in August, September. I think if they do get into like a division or a wild card race, like the ticket prices obviously can get a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously like there's just more demand when they're better, but $90 to sit lower bowl, not lower bowl, but lower level, I think is pretty good. And I think from where your seats were, you were, great view, couple rows up. Like, I don't think you can complain about that.
No. I had zero complaints about it. The food is a little bit more on the mid side. I think the Kamarchuks that costs like $10. Yeah, it was pretty popular.
The food and drink is where I think Target Field gets you. If you want to go there to experience, to try the food and stuff, that's where it's going to hit you more than the ticket, the parking, as we talked about, just how easy it is. Like, I didn't go. I think you went to a team store. I haven't really ever bought anything there. I think they're pretty in line with what you would expect, like a jersey and like if you wanted to get a souvenir or something. I don't think they're doing anything outside the realm there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's go on to inside atmosphere and fan support. We already talked a little bit about that. Not so much in a good way, because like when teams like Toronto come to town, they make their presence known. It's same thing with Milwaukee. They might have something similar when LA comes to town later this month.
I wouldn't say I think it's more just the ticket prices are higher. I think when it's outside of Toronto, Milwaukee, it's usually a 95% Twins crowd. So I think though when the Twins are good, obviously this is how every team is, but one of the last games I went to was in 2023. I was actually at the ALDS Game 3.
Oh, wow.
And it was packed. Everybody was into it. Obviously they lost, but it was a great atmosphere. It's completely different from a regular season game. I think that's
yes.
you don't. Obviously, everyone talks about hockey and how hockey it's like you go from the regular season to the playoffs. It's a different sport. I think baseball's almost that way too, in a sense of every pitch, or you get a runner on first, a 2-run game, and everyone's on their feet. Like, I think it was like they were down 6-1, and the bases were loaded with 2 outs, and everyone's standing because it's like what it means if something happens. So from a fan support, when it gets to playoff time, like, if you watch back that Toronto series or those Houston games, like those crowds were amazing. Like, they did, and obviously part of it is like the Twins had that 20-year playoff losing streak. Like, people wanted to see that win. So even though that maybe the Twins haven't had kind of that deep, last time they won in made the ALCS was 2003. Unfortunately, New York Yankees existed, and we ran into them. The Twins ran into them plenty of times. But I mean, the fan support from the Twins when they're good is, people will fill that ballpark. I will say the last couple of years when they've gone on like their losing streaks I think a lot of animosity that comes towards the Twins isn't so much the players. I think it's sometimes just how the team is ran. Of like, why didn't you spend $10 million for an extra starting pitcher? Or like, why are we cutting contracts? Or like, they didn't re-sign. Crap, what's his name? I'm gonna. I feel so bad not remembering.
You're okay.
Name, but they're like, it's like, oh, we're gonna do a 1-year contract. Oh, let's re-sign him. No, we don't want to pay. And then it's like a team barely comes over what we were gonna give them, and it's like you guys couldn't go and give that. So he's on the Cardinals now. I'm gonna regret not knowing who that is.
You're okay.
So, but atmosphere, fan support, small thing, like, it's not hostile.
No.
Like, if you go to Yankee Stadium, you were wearing an opposing team's jersey.
Yeah, you will get heckled.
You will get heckled. Boston, depends who you're playing. Like, Minnesota's like, oh, you having a good time? Like, it's not like some of these other places where you go, and maybe it's different if it was a playoff game, but like,
Minnesota, nice.
Yes, Minnesota, nice.
Yep, I did see a decent handful amount of Cleveland fans that were there, and yeah, they seem to be okay. Actually, the guy that I met with at Target for in the second game, who's another YouTube vlogger, the guy who inspired me to create the vlog in the first place. He was there. He lives in Minnesota now. He's originally from Ohio, and he's actually a Reds and a Guardians fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Reds, he's from southwestern Ohio. I think the Reds, he said the Reds are his 1A team, while Cleveland is his 1B team. He likes all things Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so yeah, he was there in his Cleveland jersey. He was having a good time, and yeah, I would say, yeah, from the games that I was at, yeah, I really like the fan support that was there. I think the fans do a very good job. I would give that an 8.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they weren't as crazy loud as some other places might get, but they still do a good. They show up.
They know when to get loud.
Yes.
They know when a big moment is, like 8th inning, runners on the corners, 2 strikes. They know it's a big pitch.
Yes.
It's not like, oh, cool, another pitch. Like,
they know the game.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep. We're almost on last couple of topics. Let's talk amenities like bars, restaurants, kids' play areas. I think the Twins do a fantastic job. 10 out of 10.
Yep.
There's bars essentially everywhere. There's restaurants. I think you mentioned it. Red Cow.
Yep.
There's also a restaurant called Herbeck's, named after Kent. And then Truly on Deck, we mentioned that. And kids' play areas. Well, there's the lawn area that we mentioned.
I was going to call that out. I think that's one of the best things that they have there. Don't have kids, but 4 or 5-year-olds aren't going to want to sit and watch 9 innings of a game. They're going to be moving around. It's a great little area, and it's always fun when you kind of walk through that area. It's like there's always people there.
Yeah,
like people are utilizing it. So I think that's one of the cool things of recognizing maybe not everyone wants to watch all 9 innings. What's something else they can do? So, obviously you mentioned all the food, the different bars. Like I think Target Field does a great job of not only having all of that, but like it's a good variety kind of throughout. So like you walk throughout lower concourse, you're not seeing the same thing all the time. You're seeing lots of different variety. Like there's lots of options for people, regardless of their taste.
Mm-hmm. And then there's even this, if I can remember correctly, this little playground in the upper concourse. It's a very TC themed. That's very good for the kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that deserves a mention as well. And so yeah, if you got kids, yeah, they'll have a good time at Target Field. I think it's a very friendly, family friendly atmosphere.
Yes, very.
But it's also good for adults because they got all the bars. And everywhere. I mean, anyone, no matter your age, can have a great time at Target Field. That's amazing. Let's move on to our last topic: cheer squad and mascot. What do you think of TC?
He's awesome. He's not Philly fanatic. He's not maybe in the elite. I'm trying to think what would be a good comp of like who was TC like from a professional. TC is like he's the Eli Manning of Major League Baseball. Mascots.
Yes.
He's gonna have his moments. He's got his 2 rings. Other than that, though, he does his job.
Yeah.
He might have maybe more, his other siblings, Crunch, the Minnesota Viking guy, maybe a little more famous, a little more well known, but TC has his success.
Yes.
So, but it's funny because TC, he'll go on the dugouts. Kind of, they do some interactive. I think the cool thing they do is the mascot race. I think you highlighted in your video.
Yes.
Yeah, they do the Target mascot race, and so they they get people in costumes, whether it's based off the Target characters. So I've always thought that's kind of fun. It is kind of interesting. The older you get, you don't like when you're a kid. It's like, oh, TC, where's TC? And then as you get older, you focus. I focus more on the game. You don't maybe see where he is. He'll go through the lower bowl and bang on the drum to get the "Let's Go Twins" chant.
Yes.
I think in the video, so you mentioned it's like, what's this train for? I'm not 100% certain, but sometimes they used to have a thing called like the Little Cubs Club or Little TC's Club.
Mm-hmm.
And they would get little kids in bear costumes, and then TC would have a little train. That's where they would put them and they'd go around. Maybe that's what that's for still, but TC's a good mascot. So
yes, I would say I would give them a 9 out of 10. Yeah, you mentioned it. He does his job. He's not Philly fanatic. He's not in your face. He's not amazing, but he does his job. He is good at it. He's just a good overall mascot. He's very lovable. He's a cuddly bear.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's like how'd they decide because I'm trying to think. They haven't done like a mascot rebrand or anything. Like TC's been the mascot since I can remember. But it's like, how'd you decide a bear from the Twins?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and maybe there's some history of like, okay, like when the Twins first started, like what would they do for a mascot? Like, how would you have a mascot in the 1965 World Series for the Twins? Like, do you just have someone that outline the state of Minnesota? Like, so. But I it's funny because if you look at the Minnesota Wild logo, it's a bear.
Yeah,
it's the outline of a bear. But then Nordy, their mascot, he's kind of a bear, but he's not. I think he's a bear, but he's not the type.
He doesn't look like a bear.
He doesn't look like a bear like TC does, which is funny.
Are there bears in Minnesota?
If you get to northern states, so if you go like 2.5 hours north of the cities, yes, there's bears, deer everywhere.
Oh yeah,
on the road too many times, but deer, moose, like outdoors. But it's funny they picked a bear.
Yeah,
but then it's like the Minnesota Loons, their mascot's a loon. Duh. But like
the wolves.
Yeah, the wolves. I don't. It'd be interesting. Minnesota does have wolves, but it'd be interesting. Like I might look this up when we leave. Is like what's the history behind like a Twins mascot? Like what did they have in the 70s and 80s? Which would be funny.
Yep, and you mentioned the mascot race. I really like that. Yeah. That's very Minnesota themed. Yeah, because I don't think TC is in that race, but they do have Bullseye, the Target dog, because of course Target's the namesake of the place. Yes. Proudly based in Minneapolis. There's a Babe, Paul Bunyan's Blue Ox. There's Wanda, the walleye, of course, the fish. There's forget the name, but there's you mentioned it, the loon.
Yep.
And there may be, I think there's a mosquito in the race because there's a lot of
Yeah.
mosquitoes in Minnesota.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a very Minnesota race, and that's a really neat touch that the Twins do.
Yeah, it's the Brewers do their sausage race, like kind of tying to their theme. The Nationals do like the President's race. So
Yes.
it's cool how Minnesota's reflected that and then twisted it kind of to the reflect kind of the state.
Yeah. Yep. And one more thing we'll mention is the cheer squad. There really isn't much of a cheer squad there. I mean, I did see like a person or two like during player intros, like right alongside TC. They're on the dugout. Like one girl is waving the flag, and all that. But
I don't think many Major League Baseball teams have like a. Maybe it's different, like other places you've gone, but I've never really thought of baseball as like a sport with like a cheer
cheerleaders.
squad.
Yeah.
It's funny actually though. The guy that's done the emceeing for the last couple of years, not the main announcer guy,
Not the PA.
not the PA, but kind of like the entertainment person, like does the promos between innings. I think he went to my high school. He
Bendow St. Margaret's, right?
yeah, Benilde St. Margaret's.
Benilde St. Margaret's,
Yeah,
yeah.
so he was. I think he was 2 years older than me, but yeah, I think Joe Sutton's his name. But he's done it before, and it's kind of cool, like for to not I don't know him, but like to know of him.
Yes.
Oh, this is cool. Like that's someone you're aware of, like is into that position. So.
Yep. Yeah. The Twins. Yeah. I guess they don't really have much of a cheer squad, but I guess do they really need one?
No.
Yeah, because TC does a lot of the work for them, and the you mentioned it, the entertainment guy. Is that the DJ you were talking about?
He's not like a DJ. It's
or
like
just
he
the
does
MC?
the promo. Yeah, MC promos, and then the guy that does like the player introductions or like now batting. Can't remember what his name, but he's been doing it at Target Field. I think he even did the Metrodome, and then they had a guy that did it at the Metrodome for 20, 25 years. I can't remember his name. It's gonna kill me, but he was like a legend. The cool thing they'll do sometimes also is they'll let a kid do the PA for a half inning of the Twins.
Yeah.
So they'll bring someone, a kid in there, and they get to yell the player's name. It's kind of fun. I think
really
sometimes
fun.
when that happens, like, all right, let's get a 3-up, 3-down inning here. Like,
Yep.
let's get there. Let's move it along. But yeah, I don't. It'd be interesting. I guess from the other ballparks you've gone to, I guess.
The Royals have a cheer squad called the K Crew.
Okay.
Yep, and this squad is also pretty small too. But the Braves have something called the Tomahawk Team.
Okay.
Yep, and one more thing that I'll mention is we got to give props to Sue Nelson. You know who that is?
She's the organist you mentioned.
The organist.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. I would say a 10 out of 10 for her. She's been doing it for a long time. She's on point. She's on tune. She plays a lot of good music. She knows the game very well, and she just does her job, and she does her job so well.
Well, you mentioned in the video, is Target Field in a few places you said that has an organ? Most places either don't have one
Or sadly, some major league teams have gotten rid of their
oh,
organists.
really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, but the one I think that the couple of major league ballparks that have been on the channel that have organists are Minnesota and Atlanta, and there's also the Wrigley Field, the Cubs too.
Yep.
The problem with Wrigley is that you can hear him, but not too well.
Because it's so open. There isn't. It doesn't contain the sound.
No. But Sue Nelson, she's fantastic, and I hope she does the organ for Twins games for, I don't know, she's been doing it for like 30 years. Hope she does it for another 30 years.
Yeah. We've been talking about the Twins a lot. I know you mentioned in your video in the intro of the Saints and how they have their new ballpark.
Yes.
Or, they're the AAA affiliate now, but now they have the CHS Field, I guess. I would plug that that's a really great ballpark for not only AAA, but just a fan experience. Obviously, the Viveks have always kind of had been involved there, and they kind of have the little quirks and tweaks to kind of fan experience. But I think that if you want to experience minor league baseball, like CHS Field in St. Paul, so it's on the complete other side, basically, of Target Field, which is of the Minneapolis, St. Paul. But I want to just give a plug for that. It's a great ballpark. obviously it's cool to. It's now the AAA affiliate, so you get to see kind of guys come
Yes.
through. But I would if you're looking for recommendations, I think that's a ballpark you would have a good time doing a blog
Absolutely.
at as well.
Yep. Well, that's going to wrap things up for this podcast episode. Andrew, you have any final thoughts?
Just hope the Twins can, 1991, the last Minnesota sports title from the Big Four, obviously the Lynx and I think the Rory, and the hockey team, the women's hockey team. But 1991, one of these days it will no longer be 1991 for those Big Four sports.
Yes. Yeah, I firmly believe that the Twins will one day get back to that World Series.
Actually, there's a thing I didn't tell you. They do the Minnesota. So I know we mentioned the Metrodome and doing state high school. They do state high school at Target Field too.
For baseball?
Yeah, for baseball. So, but you can sit wherever. So you can get like front row seats. So when they open it up for the state baseball, I went for 1 year. I was in town and Benel St. Marcos was playing. You're sitting 2 rows behind the dugout. Like you can just,
really
if you want to experience Target Field and not for the Twins but for a high school game, going to Target Field for the state baseball is actually a great way to see the ballpark. Like they don't think they open up the upper deck or like they kind of contain where you can go.
Yeah,
but if you
probably
want
not.
to get, like if you wanted to experience the ballpark and get like front row seats, like that's an option too. And that was actually a really cool experience. Just being able to we're gonna sit 2 rows behind a dugout and pay $10 to get in.
Great deal.
Great deal.
Yep. Well, thank you so much once again, Andrew. I had a lot of fun recording this pod episode. Did you have fun?
Of course.
All right.
Of course.
All right.
I appreciate you having me on, Tom.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next video.